However, Song of the Siren disjointed the fight and came back in favor of Fnatic.
And we're back. Game number 2 of our lone Western Division best of 3 right now. Evil Geniuses taking on Cloud9. And let's call it what it is, man. Cloud9 made it look easy in game 1. Just an outdraft and outplay, pretty much top to bottom. And EG going to have to bounce back in a hurry. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves with their first loss in Western Division play, while Cloud9 certainly thinks a perfect 2-0 would sound wonderful. Yet another pick of the Ogre Magi very early on. Going to pair it up with Venomancer, which was run by PPD in game 1. And Cloud9 going to grab themselves another early pick Razor, this time, though, pairing it up with an IO.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering why they didn't take Tide in the first 2. So they go Ogre Magi and Venomancer in their first 2. This leads me to believe possibly a Fear Venomancer, more of a core. I think picking the first 2 supports is, first of all, kind of weird in this patch, and then doing it with Ogre and Veno to start things off would seem, I don't know, interesting to me. Or it could be, of course, the universe on the Ogre Magi in the offlane. We've seen that from Evil Geniuses as well. So interested to see how they change things up. But yeah, I thought they would for sure pick the Tide. They didn't ban it out this time from Cloud9. Instead, they banned out the Lycan, and they didn't want Evil Genius to have access to that. So they banned out Tide in the second phase. But then Cloud9 goes for a Razor and then Wisp. Interesting, of course, not the most common pairing with Wisp, but I mean, we've only seen 2 heroes picked so far.
Yeah, you know, it just seems like Cloud9 kind of values the Razor just on its own, and the IO, they're going to have plenty of options open to them, as EG didn't ban anything that you would traditionally see with it, outside of, I guess, the Necro, which we have seen have some success. But Tiny's still around, CK, if they wanted it to go in that direction, don't really see that all that often anymore. But they're going to go ahead and grab another mid pick, or a solo lane pick, I should say, with the Puck. And, yeah, like, you know, looking at EG's lineup, I want to see if C9 is going to go with something just very typical like a Tiny and what have you. If they do, I'm already going to like C9's draft a little bit better, just because they did such a good job of just taking it to EG and not allowing them to ever settle into their comfort zone, and having relocate to draw upon, having a great fighter early like Razor, especially one that can build an early mechanism to make fighting all that much easier in the early moments of the game. I like lineups like that when they're run by Cloud9. They tend to really excel at it.
Yeah, the one great thing, though, about the Puck pick is that if they do go for something like the, like you're mentioning, the Tiny, or even the P8 for that matter, if you do go for Ags on Puck, it makes their BKB just kind of useless in that sense. Like, Puck is a really good hero against Razor because he's got no single target abilities. They're all AoE. They're all nuke damage, and then the coil kind of forces you to use a BKB, but then, like I said, if you go for the Aghanims, BKB doesn't really do much. In fact, it hurts you to use BKB through the coil because it still stuns you. So I really, really love the Puck pickup from Evil Geniuses. Still find it curious that they've picked up Veno and Ogre in the first 2, and I'm wondering still if they're going to have Universe play the Ogre Magi. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Bane is the next support here picked up for Cloud9. interesting. There's a lot of stuff to cancel the grip, to be quite honest with you. So we'll have to see how they want to run this.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I wonder what the plan with the Bane pickup right now is. Is it, I mean, are they thinking something like a Mirana they want to snag, anticipating that EG would not pick it up right here? I mean, that's the obvious pairing. It's, you know, the Bane works well against Puck in one sense, at least. You know, Puck's tough and elusive to track down, but if you can just click on him one time and have your team protect you, or you just time it right and position yourself well, you can Fiend's Grip him. So that is an answer that does exist. But like you said, they're going to have Fire Blast to contend with. They're going to have, you know, any number of things from Puck. Coil, of course, is always an option if he decides to use it on someone else. So I think Cloud9's definitely got something in mind outside of just picking the Bane into what they see. I'm pretty sure they're going to end up pairing it with something in terms of just executing an overall game plan.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that is going to be an offlane Ogre. If it is, I would think that Rubik to be a very, very good support here. Not the best against Razor, just because you have 3 targetable spells, but
yeah,
pretty good against Bane. It's actually very good against Bane, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, I don't know what Evil Geniuses want to do with this Ogre and what they want to do with the Feno. I imagine, of course, though, it will be Fear on the Puck, just because he's one of the better Puck players in the West.
Now, still waiting to see. We're down into the reserve time on both sides. In fact, Cloud9 has burned through the majority of theirs. One thing we didn't really see done enough, I feel like, from Evil Geniuses in Game 1 was putting the roaming tandem together and really getting a lot done in terms of pressuring different points of the map. We saw them try to do so here and there, but for the most part, they failed. And I feel like that's something they're going to need to succeed at, especially with 2 heroes so good at it as an Ogre and a Venomancer. And, you know, talking about Evil Geniuses core, that's another interesting topic. The Lycan has been banned out. So... yeah, I mean, you've got basically marquee heroes banned out that Cloud9 just doesn't want to deal with. The Jakiro, Universe of Jakiro, as we talked about, so very good. Lycan, Arteezy's Death Prophet, and so on. And it's going to be an Enigma now, so most likely going to be Zai handling that and going with mass AoE.
Yeah, and that kind of answers the question about where this Ogre is going to go. So probably PPD on the Venomancer yet again, as you mentioned, Zai Enigma, offlane Ogre, and this will leave, I suppose, an Arteezy hero. But they could, well, it's going to be an RTC hero, but I'm wondering if they want to farm up the Puck and then have RTC still go mid, or just have RTC play as the traditional one hero in the safe lane. So we'll have to see what they want with that. And that actually is going to be a Mirana, and I think that works very, very nicely so far with their lineup. Pretty elusive hero, gets away from the Veno and the Ogre quite nicely. Not so much from the Puck, but still a very, very good hero paired up with the Bane.
Yeah, just seeing the Bane come out when it did, it is kind of ballsy of EG to draft Enigma into the Bane. It's a guaranteed counter if he happens to hold on to it. So now you've got, and it is nice to have to force Bane into choosing his Fiend's Grip target as opposed to just him being picked to hard counter it. But still, they have an answer to it. And now the Mirana there, very strong laning potential, very, very strong roaming potential if they're able to put pressure elsewhere. I do feel like both teams do need some kind of a bruiser, though. I mean, we see the ban from EG was the Drow Rangers, so respecting the Envy Drow, no doubt about that. But yeah, Slark is actually another really good ban, I think, for Cloud9. Just some hero that can get out, get in the front of a fight, and fight early. Cloud9 already has the Razor picked up, but I feel like EG desperately needs some kind of a brawler.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they were going to pick Slark, though, because I think this is going to be an Arteezy hero, and I've never seen him play that. Maybe he could, but I imagine it'll be something more along the lines of what he's played in the past. It's hard to name something right off thin there because I can't see the board, but something that he has played, it's hard for me to think right now. But yeah, I don't know if the Slark is... Oh, well, there's something that he's played in the past.
Time or two.
Yeah, time or two. And I do like the position of how they picked... Enigma, because all the supports were already picked, being the Wisp and the Bane, so they didn't have to worry about like a counter pick with Rubik, which is one of the best heroes against Enigma because they already had those 2 supports. As you mentioned, Bane is still pretty good with the Fiend's Grip. It's a little, you don't really want to use a Fiend's Grip on a BKB to Enigma hole, though. You want to kind of save it for something else, but if you have to, you have to.
Still waiting on that 5th from Cloud9, and only going to be 10 seconds until we know. And I feel like they could go for something cutesy here, or they could just go with a true fighting hero, and it's going to be an Ember Spirit. So, I wouldn't call that cutesy, but I do think it does give them. It doesn't give them the ability to potentially run EG over while Naga's trying to farm quite as much. But it is a hero that can come to fight very early if he's protected well by his team, and of course a hero that can go late quite well. And and also an excellent hero in dealing with Naga Siren illusions. So good thinking there. But I'm feel pretty confident with Cloud9. I feel like this is a good draft from them. EG, don't mind it, but unless they're just playing and really upping their game in game 2, if Cloud9 comes in playing the way they did in game 1, it could be another quick affair.
Yeah, and they're holding off on their picks right now because this is what I think teams hold off on their picks so they can think about what they want to do. Because if you notice, your universe has actually picked Enigma, so it most likely will be him in solo off lane, and then Zai playing the 4-position Ogre Magi. Be really interesting to see if they did some kind of Chinese thing where they switch it up in mid game to kind of mess with them. You don't see enough people, or you don't see people do that anymore. But I actually think that there's some validity to that. I think it can throw people off as far as like last minute decisions about, oh wait, no, it's universe here, let's do this. You know,
right?
That kind of stuff does get said in the beginning of games, so it's kind of interesting.
Well, they're going to head on out, and we'll watch the lanes take shape. Down at bottom currently, it's Sama and Pylai making their way down. 3 heroes heading up to top for the moment. Bone 7, AUI on the Bane, and Fata on the Razor. Looks like we could have a dual lane look coming out of Cloud9. Arteezy on the Naga is up there at top with Zai and PPD, who are playing on the Ogre and the Venomancer. Down at bottom, Universe on that off-lane Enigma, as you had mentioned. And Fear, who's actually setting up shop at mid. So it looks like they're going to be farming Arteezy out of the defensive tri-lane.
Yeah, but this is looking like some kind of aggression here coming up from C9. I don't like. Yeah, obviously Fata's going to go mid, but could be just a dual lane top here with the pot of Mirana, or sorry, with the pot of and the Bane. Yeah, I've seen this before a long time ago. It's just a standard dual lane. It's pretty good. Like they can't really kill them. Bane can defensively sleep if he needs to. Mirana has the leap if she needs to, so interesting. I kind of like this. And then the Wisp is setting up bottom to help harass out this this Enigma.
Horn blows, game 2 underway. Cloud9 leads 1-0. We'll see how the runes go. Arteezy way up in front, gets off a Riptide, and doing a little bit of damage before snagging that bounty rune. And didn't even see what the IO grab, must have denied it. There's an arrow shot, and that's going to hit Arteezy. No follow-up, but still very annoying. And worth a little bit of damage to him, of course. And out in the offlane, let's talk about this Enigma pick. You know, Enigma in the offlane certainly works, and when played well, it can be very effective. And it's just like a bad rider in the sense that you can always just go into the jungle if things get too hairy and you don't like the way the lane feels. But it does feel like a little bit of squandered potential of the hero. He's so damn good and so fast in the jungle. Do you think it's justified running him like this?
I'm not quite sure. Ooh, nice deny. I think on Dire's side, it's actually better, just because you have the lane a little bit closer to your tower. And perhaps they were suspecting some aggression as it did happen. So the Potom and the Bane are top. And speaking of Bane, actually, yeah.
AUI caught with the Fire Blast and the Gale, and he's going to be your first blood. Good attempt from Bone 7 to slow him down, but Arteezy happy to tank the damage in exchange for getting his lane that first blood. And, you know, this is kind of something I wanted to say about this. And now Bone 7's caught. He's just level 1, doesn't have elite, but no follow-up there as PPD had gone back and to get ready to pull. Looks like he's actually not going to get it this wave, so just going to come on back out. Maybe they changed their mind. But, you know, Bane and Mirana are excellent in lane, except when they're outmanned and outgunned. And like this, they're going to be able to get some XP for sure. But in terms of their own potential, much in the same vein as the Enigma, does feel like it's being a little bit squandered, at least in the early levels.
Yeah, just nice capitalization there by EG. They wanted to pull that last wave, but Peter just couldn't get there in time. He will pull this one and connect it, and after this kind of settles, they're definitely have a huge advantage in this safe lane for EG. So I wonder if maybe Ali wants to roam for the top room, but nope, Zai's actually already on top of that. He's got that covered, so if he gets like an Invis or a haste up here, it's actually going to be illusion, so not the best rune for him, but does at least camp it out, and nice movement there from Zai. I'm wondering about this bottom lane too. Like, I'm wondering how much Universe is going to get down here. Hopefully he doesn't feed too many Eidolons, as he feeds one right there. But if he does get caught in a Searing Chain and Wisp is nearby, he will die. So he does have to be careful about that.
Yeah, and he's just being zoned back. He's going to be able to get some decent experience here. Zai and Bone 7 going toe-to-toe at top. In the meantime, AUI is right there to try to help. Nightmare will be used on Zai, and the rest of EG trailing behind. Arrow is actually shot and does good damage to Zai, but the follow-up not there, using those illusions to just get in the way of AUI. So A little bit of back and forth, but no blood on the soil that time around. Universe is making his way over into the jungle to interfere with Pylai Die in his pull, at least for the moment. He's got to start being careful, though. Eternal Envy's going to be level 4 soon. And like you said, if he gets caught with the Searing Chains, he's just going to burn very easily before he ever makes it back to that tier 1.
And the CS of Bone 7 actually is not too bad. Like, all things considered, 8-0 for him. The puck here for EG is actually getting pretty owned here in mid by Fata. I would think actually that'd be a little bit more even, but Fata's doing very, very well against Fear. 19-6 right now compared to 8-2. So really sucking out that damage and just making it really hard for Fear to last hit. But I'm wondering if Naga just straight up missed a lot of CS. I know he has another wave coming his way, but I feel like his CS should be like at least 4 or 5 more higher than what it is. So interesting there. But yeah, Bone 7 gets caught with a Gale.
He's going to have to leap, and does. And still slowed, but Zai not going to have the mana for a follow-up Fire Blast, even if they did want to try to press the issue. A little bit of mana used, and there's going to be Zai acting as bodyguard, making sure he eats that arrow, tanky as he is, as opposed to PPD. Arteezy did get a few more CS that wave, so a little bit more back on track. We're going to see Fata find himself a Invis rune, and we'll see if he wants to do something cute with it. He's waiting on it, at least for the moment. Going to bottle up. And is he going to bank it, or is he going to try to maybe head top with it? Looks like he just wants to go back to lane.
Yeah, Fear is getting pummeled in mid, like absolutely manhandled. 23-7 now compared to 9-4. Just hasn't been finding the best creep rhythm, honestly, to get the last hit. I've talked about this before. Sometimes he gets a bad creep rhythm. I've seen that with him. Like, he's going to miss this one unless he nukes. Okay, he does nuke, but also just the damage from the static link being reduced from him. Just playing a huge role, and as a result, Fata's pulled way ahead. Actually pops the Invis, looking for a kill there, but Fear kind of sniffs it out, and he's actually going to go all the way back to base. No level 6 for him, so the unfortunate thing is, he was 6, he's like, alright, screw it, I can't do anything in mid, I can at least go gank another lane, but just because of how many denies Racer has, Fear actually isn't level 6 yet, so he has to go back to mid, where he's just going to suffer a little bit more.
Speaking of going back to lane, Enigma, at 5 minutes in, is level 4.5, so level-wise, he's certainly where he needs to be. CS-wise, nowhere near what he would be getting in the jungle, unfortunately. And he's going to be slow to whatever item he wants to build, be it a mech, be it a blink, what have you. And he's, again, got to be really careful. It's not going to be long now, you know, at level 6. Yeah, they're just going to catch him. And look at how quickly he's melting down. That's exactly what we were talking about. He got off the Midnight Pulse, and Highlight Die is quite low. Zai wants to try to catch him with a Fire Blast or Ignite. And he's going to get him with an Ignite.
They can maybe kill Zai.
Zai, a little bit far out there. He's going to be hit with the Tether. Now he's going to get off the Fire Blast, and that's a feed from the IO. So Envy needs to make it count, and will, it would seem. He's got another Searing Chains in 1 second, and Zai just trying to stay near the creeps, hoping for some RNG luck. But up at top, how about the Mirana being picked off as well? So back and forth on both sides. And 2-3 as the dust now settles.
Very even exchange overall. It's basically a 2-for-2. Off lane for off lane, support for support. So nice there for both teams, I suppose. But EE is getting a lot of farm. And I guess Arteezy is kind of bouncing back a little bit, and obviously Radiance is very, very good. I'm wondering if they picked up Ember Spirit like in response to this Naga. I don't think it's like that great against Naga, just because it's not like Naga's really clumping up his illusions with him. It's not like a Meepo where you can just, you know, kind of use it like that with a what's the spell actually called? I forget the name of it. The Sleight of Fist. So obviously, I think EG is going to be fine taking this in the late game because they're always happy with Arteezy farming up on the Naga, but C9 has a much better start, and it's just this huge disparity between the mid players.
We saw one arrow shot through mid by Bone 7, now getting himself into another decent position here near the tier 1. And here's that arrow. Oh, barely missed him. So close. And look how much damage Fear just ate from the plasma field. So if he'd have been caught, it would have been a for sure kill. Down at bottom, we can see Envy's just flat out running goalie, just keeping anyone from approaching this tier 1. And it's going to end up dropping for free. I actually feel like this is going C9's direction. Envy's doing great. 42 CS, top of the board. Like you said, Arteezy is bouncing back some, but unfortunately, he takes longer to really have an effect than a well-farmed, over-leveled Ember Spirit. Speaking of levels, he is the highest on the board, even higher than the mid-heroes right now. That's how great this bottom lane has gone for him.
Well, he got the kill from Universe, and then a solo experience on Zai after Zai got solo experience for himself. So it just bounced back more in favor of Envy. That's why I think that trade was definitely favorable for C9. And I think, I agree, I think that it's going to take a little bit too long for Naga to come online. And I think this Wisp with Ember, once Wisp gets relocated, is just, they're just going to pressure RTC. Right now they're letting him do his thing, but he doesn't really do anything right now. Once they get level, once they get level 6 on IO, they can just transfer like the Razor up top, start 5-manning, relocate with Ember, and just kind of run over EG.
Well, I think a big part of it's going to be, if he does go Radiance, and it does seem that that's going to be the call, Radiance timing. If they can kill him 2 or 3 times before he gets up his Relic, it's going to be nigh on impossible for EG to dig themselves out of that hole. If they're able to keep him alive and make space for him in other ways, until he gets his Relic at least, you know, if he dies after that while he's saving for the recipe, that's one thing. But I think that's kind of what it's going to turn into, and the question is going to be, how does EG do it? Do they start to pressure themselves? Do they just play ultra defensive and try to get their levels and be ready to fight when the time comes? What would your approach be?
I think you need to be really mindful of these relocates. Make sure RTZ has enough mana for the sleep. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Speaking of, he's actually not even, he doesn't even have it yet. He's level 7, doesn't have sleep yet. He's actually maxing his mirror image. 2 points from Riptide, 1 and then Snare. So actually, I missed a kill, unfortunately. But
Fear just got caught with an arrow in the back of it. They get a return kill, and they do as the Razors drifted over. Now they've got Eternal Envy jumping Zai along with Fata. That was actually fairly well done by Pylai Dai, who was caught out. I was watching it with the camera, and he actually used the edge of the trees to fog what was going to be a fire blast that was being wound up on by Zai. And because he bought that time, and then the puck had the jump and so on, they had to extend just a little further, and that's what allowed the reaction from C9. So doing the little things right and helping his team out. Now we're tied up 4-4.
Artesia's going for this full solo farm build. Like, he's got drums, full level and mirror image, no points in the sleep, which I think is a mistake, considering that they know that they're kind of losing this early game, and the relocate's coming online relatively soon. Speaking of, Peter's in some trouble, as he's probably going to fall here. No sleep for Arteezy. If he has sleep, they both live right there.
Yep, has a Gale, or Peter missed his Gale pretty badly there too. And yeah, they're just kiting him, and he's got help on the way, but so does Cloud9. Not level 6 on Mirana, so they can't try to re-engage off of a fake back. Universe is up there, is level 8. Arrow shot, arrow misses. But here's Fata, and he just doesn't care. He's in such a good position, he can run forward like that. Let's see if they actually want to fight this. Both teams kind of dancing around with it, doing the barnyard dance. But neither have really committed as of now, and it looks like Cloud9 might be pulling back. Down at bottom, they have AUI right in front of Zai.
They're going to relocate once they get a vision onto him. Oh, nope, he couldn't actually find the right opening. He was trying to get that Fiend's grip onto him to a nice relocate, and you can see that the posturing of C9 with Envy and Pilot Eye up top just ready for it. But Zai kind of fogged him a little bit, and as a result, couldn't get the kill. So he knew he was up.
Taking a look at the net worth chart, we can see it's Razor and Ember Spirit at the top. So Fata and Eternal Envy once again find themselves in great shape in the first 10 minutes or so in mid. Speaking of, Fata wants to put pressure on this tier 1. They're going to engage on the Pylai Die. Puck going to be able to jaunt. No, he actually chooses not to. And Zai, despite starting that fight, has to back off. Here comes a TPN. That's going to be Universe looking for a black hole, but Envy's right there. And he's going to be able to grab him. Losing a lot of damage. Couldn't even get off a spell. And C9 just continues to run them over. We're going to see C9 actually continuing to chase with Envy. Arteezy's going to catch him from behind. He doesn't have a remnant. No, he does. And it doesn't matter. Didn't toss it nearly far enough. So Envy ends up feeding one, ends up giving himself up in exchange for 2 kills. I would say it's actually not too bad for EG, especially given that they brought the Nog in and she was a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, they did kill Envy, but still relatively low respawn timer. You can just get back right in the thick of things. I believe Relocate, if we check it, is still off cooldown. Yep, he just doesn't have mana. He's actually going back to base right now. So if they find another opening, they can just get jumped right back to another fight. That's just the beauty of not only Ember Spirit, but Ember Spirit with a hero like Wisp. Like, you can constantly keep fighting. There's really no downtime with these heroes.
C9 will have Moonlight's Shadow to draw upon soon as well, as Miranda did find 6. And I actually think that's kind of a big deal too, in terms of, you know, if you can move 2 or 3 around with Moonlight's Shadow, spot a target, then have an IO and an Ember relocate on top. I mean, that's the kind of thing you're not even looking at solo kills anymore. You're looking at being able to gank 2, 3 people at a time. And Fata is going for a BKB after his Aquila. No surprise. Ogre Club's already done. Down at bottom, Arteezy's shown himself. There's going to be a rotation from Envy, and Envy has a haste. Song do have it this time. And Arteezy's hanging for the moment. And now he's going to try to TP away. And we'll be able to make it away. So cut it a little bit close, but manages to make it back to safety.
Yep.
Relocate up the top. They're going on Zai. Bone 7's right there behind him. And they didn't get the kill they wanted, but they're going to find one nonetheless. And Bane actually got a kill on Puck in mid while that was going on. Let's see if they want to dive PPD. Universe and PPD tucked into the trees. And looks like they're going to be able to stay safe, at least for now, as Pylai Dai went back home solo. But yeah, I didn't even see what happened with the Bane. Does he have Fiend's Grip? Yeah, he must have used Grip and just flat out killed Fear.
Yeah, he had help with Razor. That was a straight up feed right there, by the way, by Bone 7. Like, he just, he spent every bit of mana on his Starstorm in front of 6 Eidolons, and he knew that Venomancer was there, and just died. So,
Arteezy in trouble. There's going to be a 2-man coil off of Fear, and Phaeton still trying to kite it out. AUI standing right at the edge. Eternal Envy tried to pursue out Arteezy, but now Universe is there. Doesn't have enough mana for his Black Hole. And they're going to pursue uphill, unfortunately unable to get their hands on anyone. Down at bottom, Pylai Dai continuing to just farm and push this a little bit on his own. Envy and PPD going back and forth. Looks like Envy got covered in the goo from the Venomous Gale, and he's slowed, but we'll go ahead and go back to farming. At 14 minutes in, let's take our first look at our gold graph. We can see it's actually a fairly decent lead for C9 this early in the game. 4,500 gold, give or take. Experience not quite as large, but oh wow, that arrow hit PPD. That was shot from the freaking tier 1, and it caught him across the river. Well played.
Yep, and Naga's just trying to do her thing and split bottom. She's got another 2,300 gold. She would have by far a relic and then some change if she didn't go for this drums. I don't know if I really agree with this, to be honest. I know that his thinking is, we're getting kind of owned. I need to get some more stat items so I can be relevant and maybe come to fights. But if that's the thinking, why do you wait till level 8 or level 9 to get your Song of Siren?
Right.
I think that was kind of, I don't know, it's very interesting. I don't question his play just because he's a fantastic player, but I do wonder if maybe just going for straight Radiance would have been a little bit better. We'll have to wait and see. He is top on net worth, so at least he's finding his farm and spreading out the map despite Cloud9 having the better map control right now.
Tell you who's having a great game is AUI. 2-1-0 on the Bane. Doesn't sound that impressive, but his net worth is actually right there with the Enigmas, which is impressive in and of itself. He's picked up an Ogre Club and is on his way to a BKB, and he's going to be such a great answer to whatever they need to account for in these fights if he can get that BKB up at a decent clip. Mirana's going to go ahead and take this tower atop, and EG coming out with smoke wants to try to catch them on the retreat. They've only got 2 in range, though. Perhaps one heading that way. But they have to be so careful in situations like this because they can be disengaged very easily with Moonlight Shadow unless they invest into detection. But more importantly, the relocate.
God, you're right, too. I didn't even notice this, but Aoi, if he gets a BKB, that's huge. I mean, it can't get stopped by the Ensnare and the Enigma Black Hole, but you imagine he's going to be in a nice position. The range, actually, on the Fiend's Grip is actually pretty incredible. Especially if you start it while they're running away. It just looks like it's way longer than it actually should be. But yeah, fantastic farm for Aoi.
And right now, the team's playing kind of cautiously. Double damage rune spotted by Envy. Doesn't look like he's interested. They're going to give it to Phaeton to fill his bottle. But now everyone's moving down towards bottom. Yep, everyone is TP'd down. That's going to be 5 occupying the bottom right quarter of the map for C9. And looks like they just want to shove out mid and then perhaps take a run at the tier 2. For Arteezy, 3,300 gold. His relic only 500 gold away. He has stayed alive for the most part. Well, not just for the most part. He has stayed alive. He hasn't died. And he has been interrupted a few times. But this is where I feel like C9 needs to capitalize. And they're going to try. Using the Moonlight Shadow. Let's see where they want to head.
They're looking at me. They're pinging and pinging around, but there's no one in the vicinity. So this is probably going to be an air ball. At the very least, Puck finally did get his Blink Dagger. 16.5 minutes, naked Blink, no upgraded boots for the treads. Not where you want to be at all for your Puck. I really think that's going to come back to be a big factor in this game. It's starting to stabilize, as you mentioned, with Naga getting fantastic farm. Very close to his relic, actually, just 50 gold away. And that will change the game.
Oh, Fear. Wrong place to go. Didn't get this. Oh, they got the coil off as well. But the Fiend's Grip catches him from the high ground. And he's cleaned up easily. PPD's trying to react. The coil's now expired. There's going to be a nightmare on the PPD. Universe coming up to look for targets. Arteezy's there with the Ensnare on AUI. He's going to be blown up very quickly, but Zai in trouble as well. Ember Spirit doing damage. Will be able to rim them away. and make it back to safety. And Pylai actually came in, and I think he's just going to die. Yeah, he's just dead, and even put his relocate on cooldown.
Yeah.
That was a little odd. But nonetheless, they get Fear in exchange for their 2 supports, and they're going to get a tier 1 out of it. So I would imagine that's going to be viewed as at least a break even, if not a flat win.
I don't know why he used that. That's going to be a deny range. He does get denied by Peter, so good for him. My only possible mode of thinking is that he was like, all right, I'm going to relocate out and make them sit here so I waste their time for, what is it, you know, 10 seconds, or I don't even know what it is, something like that. I'm going to
Universe just black hole Envy out of Sleight of Fist, and I think he's going to die anyway.
Oh, no.
So puts his black hole. That was funny to watch. Puts his black hole on cooldown. And you know what? I don't even know if it was an attempted to kill or if it was just a panic maneuver because he knew Envy could kill him. But yeah, like Envy was sleight of fisting Enigma and all of his stuff in front of him, and then just black hole. Why not?
Huh? Yeah, I didn't see it, but that's kind of unfortunate. So some big cooldowns are down. Relocate for the Wisp. It's relatively a fast cooldown for him though, but Enigma's is certainly not. So Universe is not where he wants to be too. 18 minutes with just a mech and treads. It's not bad, all things considered, but this goes back to your point. Is like, you know, Enigma can farm faster than anyone in the jungle. Why not utilize that?
Right. Moonlight Shadow. They're going to walk right on top of a sentry, though. And it's being pinged right now. Zai and Arteezy. Arteezy's actually under cover of an invis. It looks like they're trying to figure out what they want to do. They're going to go ahead and try to push this tier 2 off of it, it would seem, as they have a creep wave in nice position. Sizable wave as well. And EG, I think, just wants to trade this, as they've got Universe. Again, Sans Black Hole, another 2 minutes, just trying to push along with PPD down at bottom. Trading a tier 1 for a tier 2, though, tells you they really don't want to fight.
They want to put up a fight bottom, though, for C9. They've already TP'd the Bane in. Bone 7's down here as well. His farm is actually not very good, though, despite him kind of sitting up top for a long time, just being a nuisance. And I'm really happy that Fox has actually gone for an Ags. This game, actually, they need to be careful. Oh, no, Fear. Coil, not the best. And it actually
only got...
Yeah.
Yep. Only got Envy, and he's able to rim them away. And down at bottom, they keep the tier 1 up, but at the very least, EG did force them to back off of the tier 2, still very low. Zai looking for something and unable to find it. And at bottom, AUI and Bone 7 continue to just farm. It's 3 Wraithband build on Bone 7, by the way, so going ultra mid-game heavy in his item progression. Was the mech early on Universe, as you mentioned. Fear. Well, he's kind of broke. Doesn't even have tier 2 boots right now, sitting on just his Blink and his brown boots. But their Naga Siren is level 11. Has 2 points in the song, so that's going to be a nice reduction in cooldown for them. And more importantly, that Radiance is complete. And Envy's got to be careful. He's got Burn, but so does she. And she's got a lot more teammates hanging around. I guess he's got to rim it down somewhere.
Yep, there is still very big...
no, he doesn't.
Pilot die?
Oh, no, there he goes.
Pilot, I was so close to dying right there, my god. Last auto attacks from Fear, and that's the difference, man. If Fear was just a little bit more farmed, easy kill on the Pilot die right there, but his auto attacks do piss all, and he's only got 80 damage with no upgraded boots, so... I'm very unfortunate for him. Pilot Ice scoots on out of there.
Top tier 1 going to be the target. And at what point do you think that EG, or Cloud9 rather, begins to really be concerned with Arteezy? Like, I don't feel like they're there yet, but how long do you think it'll be before they really start to view him as a huge liability looking ahead to the later stages of the mid game and the late game?
Oh, I would be concerned right now, honestly. It's very difficult for them to actually catch him. They need to, like, their really only real catch is the Fiend script or a long-range arrow, but it's very difficult to rely on both of those things. It's not like they have a blink stun. Enemies.
Multicast on EE. As he tried to be cute, he got off a 2-man Searing Chains. There's going to be an immediate smoke out of EG. And they're going to go looking for something. I heard an arrow shot, didn't see where it was headed. And there's going to be a coil. Caught 2, Pilot Die and Eternal Envy. Invis Room picked up by Fear. And now here comes Universe. He's got Black Hole. He might think about using it, but got hit with Searing Chains. Envy will be able to make it away back to the high ground. Malefice Sticks are still there, using his Sleight of Fist. Here's AUI. AUI gets a Nightmare on the Universe. And Arrow off the mark. So everyone makes it away. Looked like it could have been a very hairy situation for C9, but Universe held on to his Black Hole. I thought he was just going to walk up and Black Hole the 2 targets and opted not to do so. 12 to 8, C9 remains in the lead.
Yeah, it was kind of an awkward fight, but definitely favoring EG, just giving more time and more space for Naga Siren. Up to Boots to travel now. Had the drums, of course, before the Radiance. And yeah, I would be very concerned, and I think that C9 needs to group up, maybe get a BKB on this Razor. I do agree with the Axe before BKB, just because I think using too many BKB charges early on Razor is not beneficial for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am very concerned actually now for C9. I know that they had a fantastic start, and they do have Relocate to work with, but I think Arteezy's farm is just going to skyrocket, and if you look at the net worth, he's already starting to do that.
Looks like Eternal Envy wants to go Scotty.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice for him. Makes sense, and you know, in a few different ways. But you know, going Scotty as basically your first item, there's going to be a relocate into mid. They're going to manage to find Zai, but Fire Blast slows him down. There's going to be a coil, but Envy just chasing Zai despite it. Slide of Fist and some burn damage gets the kill. Pylite die, likely to die. No. The relocate sends him back home. That just sends him to RTC though, so unfortunate for him. His body's still given.
Arrow on
PPD actually got caught, yeah, with an arrow.
Dude, that guy gets hit by more arrows than any other player I see. Oh, unfortunate for him. But yeah, 2-for-1 exchange, so 2 supports for 1. TC gets solo experience and solo, like a solo kill for that, with a Yasha on the board for him. Again, I'm very concerned actually for Cloud9. I think Arteezy is just going to take over the game. I really do. Yep.
He's getting to that point. A full 3K ahead now of the Razor, and Eternal Envy's a full just about 4K behind. And talk to me about this Scotty. How do you think this is going to end up working out as his first big item after drums?
He just wants to be tanky. Like, the Scotty slow is nice, but I think it's just more about the stats than anything else. Like, he doesn't want to get bursted down. He wants to get as many Sleight of Fists off as possible and just stay in the fight as long as possible. So obviously he'll build for damage next, and he desperately needs it because Arteezy's just going to get... He's going to be unkillable with his heart, but yeah, I think it's just mostly about just sustainability in team fights.
Close call for AUI. In the meantime, C9 did lose a tower. There's a sentry down. Here comes Phaeton back around the edge. There's 4 here, though, from EG. And C9 was sitting and waiting to go with Eternal Envy. And EG, again, I think being very conscious of the fact that they're looking at a +2 anytime they want to engage. They're doing a great job. They're going to end up getting PPD here, though. There's going to be a Gale placed well and the ulti. PPD going to end up dropping. Phaeton's behind that, but we're going to see AUI brought down right off the bat. However, EE goes back in. He does have a double damage rune, and it's going to work. Universe going to have to think about a black hole. Oh! Stutter stepped it! And now Universe being chased by Phaeton. Phaeton will end up dropping, though. So, it was a very, very quick decision they had to make. If you're Pylai dying, he opted to take Eternal Envy out, and because of that, Phaeton never had a chance.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I want to use the black hole. Oh, no, they relocated out. It didn't end up actually mattering. And Arteezy actually bots down there, I believe. I was wondering how he got the kill because he was just top. But yeah, he bots down there. I didn't even realize this too, but they also, again, they have the Ogre this time, so they're able to buff up members of their team. I think that Cloud9's in actually a horrible spot. Like, despite the graph showing that they're in the lead by 3K experience, and actually it's even in net worth, I think they're in a horrible spot. I think Arteezy's just way too farmed. They don't have counters to him at this stage of the game. Like I mentioned, it's only you have to have blink stuns or people that can catch up split pushing, but relocate's good for that. But that's the beauty of the Naga sleep against relocate. You clearly know what's coming and you can set up beforehand.
Now, like you said, man, he just finished his Manta, I'm pretty sure. And bot's already done, yeah. Manta complete. And he's huge. I mean, hell, he's going to be level 16 really soon.
Yeah.
And level 16 is when Naga starts to feel stupid. Just because 60 seconds cooldown on an ability that strong, it's so hard to cope with. You basically can't gank her anymore. It's just impossible to do so long as she has bots and her ultimate off cooldown. And I don't know what they do either. I feel like EG's played this really well. They didn't give them too many opportunities to relocate Eternal Envy in. Even whenever they could have engaged 3-on-2, 3-on-1, they knew in doing so they might be actually biting off a bit more than that with a relocate. And now it's kind of the Envy show. He's going to have to really farm and really get himself back in a decent position.
Well, I've been seeing relocates on like Venomancers solo. I've been seeing it on like Ogres solo. They're just not getting enough out of it. They need to get more higher priority kills. And to be honest, the only high priority kill is the Naga. I don't think killing anyone else really matters. I don't think getting a kill on the puck matters. He already had a terrible time this game so far. He's not really doing too much this game. All that EG has to do right now is stabilize and not feed. And RTZ will solo win in the game. Just because of the composition of Naga against Cloud9's lineup. There's nothing that can really deal with him.
Up at top, Bone 7 caught by Zai. And TPing away. Not enough damage. You actually
Just give for some damage.
Exactly. EG in a great position. And I just want to see how they try to adapt to this. Fear's going to be spotted down here. And he actually, Johnson blinks down into the trees, and they're unable to clean him up. So even when they do manage to anticipate some movement, it's just not getting the job done. At what point, if any, do you think Envy's actually going to have the firepower to deal with this Naga Siren?
Well, here's the thing. Naga will get 6-slotted very, very soon, which is super scary, of course. If for some reason they can hold for like the next 45 minutes, then C9 will easily win this game. Like, they easily will, because Naga will have been 6-slotted for 30 minutes, and then if they don't win and capitalize on that, then C9 will just be better in the late game because they have more to work with the Naga, or sorry, with the Ember Spirit, with the Mirana. So it'll actually end up coming into base defense. Like, how well can they defend their base? So yeah, he'll definitely be able to contest with the Naga. He'll just need an extra 40 minutes to do so.
EG's got Fear with an Invis, and Zai right beside him, hanging out near mid. And Zai's actually going to be caught with an arrow. They don't know Fear's there, I don't think. And that was just really well anticipated, as they're trying to chase him down now. Fear's still hanging around from behind. Envy's still trying to catch up. And here comes Universe on the other side. Searing Chains actually only catch the illusion. And now Puck's going to go in and get a two-man coil behind this. AUI could be in some trouble. And Envy still just waiting. The Moonlight Shadow more than enough to disjoint that attempt from EG. So a little bit of a weird sequence, but everyone walks away relatively unscathed.
Shiva's here for the Razor. I find that to be very questionable. I think he really needs a BKB to be in these fights, especially pre-Venomancer ult. Like, I think, and I'm wondering, I was actually going to mention this at the beginning of the draft. This is the second time EG's picked Venomancer directly after a Razor. Hold that thought, though, as Aui's actually in some trouble.
There's a Nightmare onto the Ogre. Ensnare will be going on to AUI. Arteezy burning him down in more ways than one. Radiance Bird should be sufficient to kill him. Using his wand charges as best he can, but the illusions pursue him all the way back. And this is getting out of hand, as anticipated. Up at top, we can see the push is on from C9, just trying to get something, but TPing Arteezy and Zai up, easy peasy to keep the tower up. And they're going to have to back off, but this is just totally EG's game, like in terms of setting their own pace. And we're going to see a relocate on Phaeton. It's going to be with PPD and Universe around, and Eternal Envy will come on over. He does manage to catch PPD with the Searing Chains, and they will clean him up very easily. Universe going to be able to teleport away in Fear. Blinks himself to safety in the meantime. So they end up trading 1 for 1. In theory, the Bane had dropped, and they end up getting PPD, but I feel like there's, like you said before, man, they're not getting these kills on these super high priority targets at all anymore.
I mean, I think that's the third relocate just to get a kill on Peter.
Yep.
And I think Peter's just fine with that. Maybe they were thinking they could have got more, but it was in an awkward position to relocate, and it was with an awkward hero to relocate with, which is the Razor. That's not a good pairing, honestly. I mean, the Ember Spirit was there at the very end to kind of clean up, but wasn't there at the very start of it. So if Cloud9 does win this one, it's going to take him another, like, 45 minutes. Like, if this does go for Cloud9 victory, it will be an 80-minute game. I can guarantee that.
Well, for now, don't think we're headed in that direction, as we can see the big mountain of a lead that Cloud9 had piled up in the first 20 has not only evaporated, but has given way to a big valley. Experience still technically in favor of C9, but I don't think that's going to remain that way for a while, for very long either. Universe probably going to get a blink right about now. He's already got his BKB in his mech, and right now just having a hard time actually getting himself into fights and positions to use that black hole, but he's done a great job of keeping the lane split pushed and dealing with push. So even though we haven't really talked a lot about him, we haven't had one of those big play moments, he still had an impact on the game for sure, and you can tell that by his net worth sitting in 4th position.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I feel like when you were mentioning the Bane having his Ogre Club and being close to his BKB relatively was like, what, 18 minutes ago or something like that? And he has literally the same exact items in gold And I actually think Bane with BKB is going to be huge this game, because unless you really want to expend the Black Hole just to cancel the BKB grip, which you might have to, that's going to be the one key, I think, to actually dealing with Arteezy, if you do spot out the correct illusion. Other than that, I don't think they have the fighting power to actually isolate him and kill him. You know, with Mech behind him and with Zai helping him out.
Oh, multicast on the Fate's Out. Pier's there to follow up with the ulti. There's going to be a relocate. So Io is going to end up giving his body. And looks like they're going to be more than happy to sit and wait on it. Getting a sentry down as well. And Fear's going to come in. Pylai die. Down to Arteezy. And EG might be in the mood for a death push, as Arteezy already has his butterfly, man. Like, he is so gigantic, it's not even funny. And he went from being, you know, it's like, he's doing all right, you know, bought his drums, needs a little bit more gold, still waiting on that relic. In just 15, 20 minutes, he's now practically 6-slotted. It is ridiculous.
Well, he clearly knew what he was doing. He knew that, basically, maybe he was just thinking, I look at this lineup and no.
Look at the multicast on the Envy. Envy's going to end up dead because of it. And Zai rolling the dice in a big way now. Phaetos caught from behind. Another 3-time multicast. Send this man to Vegas, whether it's with the D2L or not. Finding his luck when he needs it. That's a godlike streak for Arteezy in the meantime. Envy's forced to buy back, so this is going to be all or nothing for him. Yeah, exactly.
He just dropped his Ags, by the way. That's what they're talking about. Fotz's Ags is gone.
It's just gone? Now there's going to be a black hole on the 2. And there's that, finally, that Fiend's Grip to take him out of it. Very bizarre fight. As Universe likely to end up dead here and will. And they catch Peter on the outside of this as well. In the meantime, Arteezy had pulled back, Ags down.
Yeah, he dropped his Ags. And, hold on, thought Arteezy just still putting in so much damage. Double kill actually for Fear. There's a sleep so he can catch up. GG, they're called, but yeah, he dropped his Ags, and I'm pretty sure Arteezy just killed it in the middle of a fight.
He just dropped his Ags in the middle of the fight.
Yeah, so I mean, it's okay. Sometimes it happens when you're clicking in that area near your inventory, and you accidentally drag it. That's the only thing I can speculate. But he dropped his Ags and no longer has them anymore. And if you check out the post-game screen, you'll see that he only has a poor little Shivas next to his tread.
All right, then. So more than one thing going wrong for Cloud9 in that game. As dominant as C9 was in Game 1, took EG about 10 more minutes, but they looked just as good in Game 2. Standout performers, obviously, Arteezy finished with 732 overall gold per minute, 546 XP per minute, 9-0-5. Didn't die a single time that game. And what were we saying, man? You know, if you can slow him down, get a couple of kills before Relic, you know, if you can just keep him off the map. But just wasn't meant to be. And the relocates, as you said, they were effective at who they tried to gank. It was almost always PPD and Zai, and no surprise, 1-6, 2-6. But it just didn't matter, as even Universe, who again, until the end, really hadn't hit any sort of a black hole worth mentioning. And poor Fear got bossed around in mid something nasty. It just didn't matter. Arteezy, the force of nature that he is on the Naga Siren, too much to overcome.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that they had a window of opportunity there where they just had a very good landing phase. Relocate came up at a very early time for the Wisp. And I thought they could have just pressured just the Naga. Like, ignore everyone else, pressure the Naga, because you know that the Naga is the only one that can keep in this game. And, you know, at the same time, they had really no counters to the Naga in the late game. So they definitely had to pressure the Naga, but they just simply didn't do it. Well played by specifically Arteezy, knowing that he could just single-handedly take over the game, and just well played by the rest of EG by minimizing their deaths at that time.
This best of 3 going the distance, and we're so happy to have each and every one of you aboard for the journey with us. EG and Cloud9 all knotted up. Make sure you stay tuned, as Game 3 is just about 5 to 10 minutes away. And make sure you're back, by the way, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our Eastern Division match tonight. It will be a best of 3 between CDEC and Invictus Gaming.